You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
I don't read script reads me.
Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about the trouble irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
more alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 We trained actors, motherfucker.
Hey, good day to you all. Welcome to the new. I'm your host, Randy Perm. And happy Friday. Happy fantastic Red Friday. And this is the day that we take the time to thank our men and women who are serving our nation around the world and committing to our freedoms by making their own personal sacrifices, commitments, and doing what it is they do in the name of our republic. We thank you and we salute you as always. And given that this is also Labor Day weekend, a long weekend for most people, I tend to work, and I'm here with you right now, and I'll be here on Monday as well. So, but for those that are enjoying the luxury, once again, of having a 4-day weekend or a 3-day weekend, however your job prescribes for you to do, enjoy it. But other than that, after the Labor Day weekend, we have a new host coming onto our network by the name of Tiffani Jones, and she'll be starting on Tuesday at 11 p.m. Eastern time. So be sure to tune in to TECN TV.com to catch her new show. And I look forward and wish her much success in her future endeavors with our network, and look forward to it. So, speaking of shows, YouTube put an age restriction for some reason on my Monday show, and they sent me emails like you had some age inappropriate content. I was like, what? I already have one strike against YouTube, but they said it's not a strike. They're just going to downgrade it to put an age restriction on there. I'm like, I didn't even say anything on there. I tell you, YouTube is getting on my nerves for real. So, but it is what it is. I'm at the point I don't care because I broadcast on Facebook, Rumble, and BitChute. So please, please, please go to those other platforms. Look up my name, Randy Perm. You see it right there on the screen. And subscribe to the channel on those platforms, because I will eventually be banned off of YouTube, and so that'll be the primary location where I will upload these shows, campaign messages, and what have you. So do that, and I appreciate you. Texas has now officially, it kind of always has been, but I'm not gonna go down a rabbit hole there. But Texas has officially became a constitutional carry state. And this morning, right, I just got back a little while ago. Went to the ammo store because I called yesterday to see if they had any 45 ammo in, and they finally did. And I was like, yes, I am en route. So I finally got some ammo. Yeah, let me do this. There we go. Yeah, see. Yeah, give me some bullets. Got me some bullets. Because, you know, we're in crazy times, and given that this, like I said, the state is became a constitutional carry state, which means that you do not have to apply for a license nor have any training to carry a gun. As pro Second Amendment as I am, and as I understand people nature, the licensing part, okay, true, sure, let's do away with that. But to have training, I think that may be a little bit of a necessity, because some people be running around here willy-nilly, and you be like, oh, hey, what are you doing? So it is what it is. It went into effect. The law went into effect on the 1st of September. So yeah, we'll see how things go. This is my baby, by the way. This IWI 45 Baby Desert Eagle. I love her to death. So, but anywho, but that's what's going on. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of today, shall we? So President Biden is under fire right now because of a inappropriate phone call that he transpired with, or conspired with the former Afghan president. Now, is this, everybody's calling this an impeachable offense? Now, just like I said with former President Trump's phone call with Ukraine, with Poroshenko, that was not an impeachable offense. A phone call, you know, asking or telling, that's what they do at that level. Okay, so it's leveraging power. Now, in this case, though, however, I would not say, I still would not lean towards this is an impeachable offense per se. However, it does raise speculation as to the appropriate responses that the government took in light of knowing what was going down in Afghanistan. So, and what I mean by that is, we have to think about the scope of this conversation that transpired when Biden's telling the Afghan president there, Sharif Garf, something like that, when he told him, yes, you may be getting overran, things are looking bad, but we have to spin the narrative to make it look like nothing's going on, like everything's okay, in summary. So that sets the catalyst for everybody else to respond and react. And this phone call took place back in July. So the narrative being spun and, oh, everything's fine, you know, Afghan is not going to fall like everybody think it is, although it's already happening. This prompts the response to the situation in Afghanistan the way that it did. Had he just came out clean up front and said, okay, things are going south quick, let's do this, let's bring the forces back, let's contain everything, let's maintain the airports, let's secure our equipment, the people, then our equipment and everything else, and we'll go from there. But no, they decided not to do that. So, but here's a nice little piece that kind of lays it all out for you.
The leaked transcript of a 14-minute phone call on July 23rd between President Biden and Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani reveals a stunning admission from Biden. Quote, "I need not tell you the perception around the world and in parts of Afghanistan, I believe, is that things are not going well in terms of the fight against the Taliban. And there is a need, whether it is true or not, there is a need to project a different picture." The U.S. president goes on to encourage Ghani to hold a press conference with prominent leaders pushing a new military strategy that will, quote, change perception. 3 weeks later, Ghani has fled abroad, apparently with millions of U.S. dollars. His army dissolved, the U.S. military withdrawn, its billions of dollars of fighting equipment allegedly disabled, now in the hands of the Taliban, parading said disabled equipment in victory through the frightened streets of Kabul. Asked about the phone call on Wednesday, Press Secretary Jen Psaki deflected.
Well, I'm not going to get into private diplomatic conversations or leaked transcripts of phone calls. But what I can reiterate for you is that we have stated many times that no one anticipated, the vast majority, I should say, there may have been individuals and agencies, so I don't want to eliminate that option, but our national security team and no one in Congress, or I would say most people out in the public, anticipated that the Taliban would be able to take over the country as quickly as they did, or that the Afghan national security forces would fold as quickly as they did.
Getting into, to use Psaki's words, private diplomatic conversations is precisely what Democrats did 2 years ago, when a private conversation between President Trump and Ukrainian President Zelensky was leaked and served as the basis of the second impeachment and Senate acquittal of Trump. GOP lawmakers skewered the apparent double standard. Quote, "Yet more evidence that Joe Biden is totally disconnected from the real world," tweeted Georgia Representative Jody Hice, adding, "Changing perception is political spin, not national security strategy." The results of Biden lies was 13 brave Americans losing their lives. He needs to resign, tweeted Texas Representative Ronnie Jackson. Resignation appears unlikely, as does impeachment.
The president's not going to be removed from office in the Democratic House, narrowly Democratic Senate. That's not going to happen.
McConnell added, "We hold down the damage until next year and midterm elections." That, while the president's allies focused on the successful evacuation of hundreds of thousands. Speaker Nancy Pelosi tweeting, "They helped bring over 124,000 Americans, allies, and Afghan partners to safety, an act of profound valor, selflessness, and sacrifice." But the president's critics see desperation and defensive.
I refuse to continue a war that was no longer in the service of the vital national interest of our people.
Yeah, I'm reminded of the judge who called a lawyer to the bench and said, "Your argument is bad, and it doesn't get any better by being louder."
But there's an old expression, you can't talk yourself out of something you behaved yourself into. And the administration behaved itself into this.
The Biden administration is now poised to double down on its spin of an Afghanistan success. Press Secretary Psaki noting on Tuesday that the U.S. has enormous leverage and that the U.S. Federal Reserve holds $7 billion of Afghanistan's $9 billion in bank assets, all of which is frozen. James Carafano of the Conservative Heritage Foundation calls that absurd and laughable on its face, noting the Taliban sits atop trillions of dollars of rare earth metals, while also being the largest drug trafficker in South Asia.
All of this is taking a toll on President Biden's popularity. The Real Clear Politics average of polls shows Biden's disapproval rating has now flipped higher than his approval rating by 3.4%. But some polls, Rasmussen in particular, shows a much greater spread. His disapproval now 14 percentage points higher than his approval in that survey, which ended, coincidentally, on August 31st. Doug McElway for the Washington.
Folks, you can't make this stuff up. Now, there's this article from the Washington Post citing, once again, can't make this stuff up. The Washington Post cited, it was an article in the Washington Post by Glenn Kessler, and he says, no, the Taliban did not seize $83 billion of U.S. weapons. Now, the article goes on to read, it's quoting President Trump by saying, all equipment should be demanded to be immediately returned to the United States, and that includes every penny of the $85 billion in costs. That was from Trump in a statement from August 30th. Now, the article goes on and says, we don't normally pay much attention to claims made by the former president as he mostly just riffs golden oldies. But this is a new claim. A version of this claim also criticizes widely on right-leaning social media that somehow that the Taliban has ended up with $83 million in U.S. weaponry. Trump, as usual, rounds up the numbers. The 83 billion number is not invented out of whole cloth, but it reflects all the money spent to train, equip, and house the Afghan military and police. So weapons are just part of that. They still got access. They still have it. Duh. At this point, no one really knows the value of the equipment that was seized by the Taliban. Oh yeah, we do. We actually do. Sorry to bust your bubble there, buddy. Now, mind you, this article was written August 31st, so I'll continue. The facts. The 83 billion figure, technically 82.9 billion, or we're off by $100 million, $100 million, 100,000, excuse me, 100 million, yeah, no, 100 million, yeah, whatever. Comes from an estimate in the July 30th quarterly report by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction for all spending on the Afghanistan Security Forces Fund since the U.S. invasion in 2001. In recent years, the spending has decreased. For fiscal year 2021, about $3 billion was spent on security forces, which was similar in 2020. Separately, the U.S. government spent about $36 billion in shoring up the Afghan government. The total bill for the Afghan project added up to more than $144 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, whether or not they had $85 billion in equipment or they spent $144 billion on building the government, nonetheless, at the end of the day, the Taliban has access and has control of it all. So it could be $144 billion, it could be $85 billion. I think we wanted to shut our mouths and go with the lesser number just to ease the blow. But I digress. I'm going to continue to read here. In any case, that's what it says. In any case, the $83 billion spent on Afghan national defense and security forces goes back 2 decades, including almost $19 billion spent between 2002 and 2009. A 2017 Government Accountability Office report estimated that about 29% of the funds spent on the Afghanistan equipment provided to Afghan forces amounted to roughly $24 billion over 20 years. The GAO said approximately 70% of the equipment went to the Afghan military and the rest went to the National Police, part of the Interior Ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, pause right there for a second. Guess what? Like I just said, regardless of how much was spent, the Taliban now has total, complete control of all assets that was spent. The government assets, the palace, embassy, equipment, the personnel who were trained to handle this stuff. All of that stuff is an aggregate of the $85 billion or the $144 billion, whichever number you want to apply to it. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, the article says, no, the Taliban did not seize $83 billion of U.S. weapons. It's BS on its face. Because guess what? I will continue. That's certainly a lot of money. Between 2005 and 2016, U.S. taxpayers paid for 76,000 vehicles, such as 43,000 Ford Ranger pickup trucks, 22,000 Humvees, and 900 mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles known as MRAPs, 600,000 weapons, and more than 200 aircraft, according to the GAO. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Black Hawk helicopters, depending on the versions and what it is equipped with, will determine how much it costs. But on a base model Black Hawk runs $5.9 million. Now, you multiply that by 200, you're looking at you spent about $1.1 billion on just the Black Hawks alone. Base model. That's just the frame, basically. Now, if you was to suit it up, weapons, computers, the whole shebang, Then you're looking at about $10.2 billion, and that's through the Air Force side of the house. Now, 10.2 million times 200 takes you out to $2.04 billion. That's just in the aircraft alone. Not to mention the vehicles, the ground vehicles, not to mention the pew-pews, not to mention the everything else that goes on with it. So just, I'm not even going to read the rest of this article. I was, but I'm not. Just on its face, the article's a lie. And I hate when people try to come along and spin stuff in an effort to cover or support what they know is wrong, what they know is not true. So whoever this Yahoo is at the Washington Post, I demand you create a redacted article coming back correcting this nonsense, because guess what? Explain this.
دم سكويدي دخل أمريكا ميراث كي دخل ميراث
Folks, yes, you saw what you saw. Weapons and pallets of cash, hundreds of dollars of bills, $100 bills, stacks of them on a pallet. You saw it. So once again, please stop trying to tell me that no, the Afghans didn't do that. They don't have our stuff. No, that's not true. You're just making up stuff. You don't know what you're talking about. No. We got the evidence, gals, people, government. We have it all. It's blatantly in our face. So stop the madness. I'm trying to find something real quick, because I thought I uploaded. Hold on one second. Yep, here we go. I did not upload it. So tell me once again, matter of fact, I'm going to go back to the article real quick, because I said I was going to stop reading the article, but salient point here. My bad. Meanwhile, at the U.S. military, as the U.S. military wound down a mission, it turned over facilities and equipment to the Afghan security forces, which may have added to the total seized by the Taliban. But General Kenneth F. McKenzie, Jr., head of U.S. Central Command, said that before leaving Kabul airport on August 30th, the military demilitarized 70 MRAPs, 27 Humvees, and 73 aircraft. Now, hear that number again. They demilitarized 70 MRAPs, although there's known to be 900, what I basically said earlier in the article, 900 of them that were there. They 27 Humvees out of the 22,000, and the 73 aircraft out of the 200. They demilitarized. Those are the ones that they was able to get a hold of, and they destroyed those. But demilitarization doesn't necessarily mean destroy, although that's the commonly used term towards when we're dealing with military equipment. We say demilitarize it. That means destroy it. Most cases. Sometimes it's okay. Strip it for parts. It's still somewhat functional, but we're gonna write it off on the books. Not to give away secrets. Sorry there, motor pool folks. But what the hell is this? get the point. I'm not gonna beat this dead horse. I was about to say something else, but this is a family show, and I don't want to get downgraded and age restrictions again. But folks, hey, look. Yes, that was a Black Hawk helicopter with a hung person hanging off of the rails of the helicopter there, flown by the Taliban, but they demilitarized all our equipment. Okay. Anyways, folks, we're gonna jump to commercial break. We'll be right back. Keep it locked right here. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.
Hey, welcome back. So, our Reach One campaign entails you, the viewer, to watch one or all of our shows for a week and tell us what you think. Give us some feedback. Let us know how we're doing. I've been getting constant feedback on your audio sucks, Randy, and you need to fix it. So hopefully today's broadcast has fixed that issue. If not, please continue to let me know, and I will continue to adjust fire accordingly. Because every time I play it on my end, it comes through crystal clear. So check your volume. But on a serious note, we have done pretty well as a network this year so far. TECN TV.com has accrued online viewership up to 1.3 1,350,000 people, and our weekly viewership has hit to 39,740. Our goal is to hit at least 40,000 this month. So please, please, please share with your friends. Share with your friends that, support TECN We have quality programming, and those that may feel otherwise, let us know. We'll adjust accordingly, because we're trying to do something for you. It's not for me. It's not for us. It's for you. So, anyways, California school teacher. This idiot got fired, thankfully, because he decided that, he's going to spend his career indoctrinating kids in the name of Antifa and social justice and all that good stuff. So Project Veritas did an undercover video capturing this guy, spilling the beans as to what he does. I'm going to show you the video. Maybe not to its entirety. It is 12 minutes long. I'm running short on time. I got other things I want to talk about, but you get the gist of it because the story's been out for about a week now. And but ultimately he got fired, thankfully, and rightfully so, because, like I said, this dude's an idiot. And I'm trying to figure out, anytime that somebody invites you out to an interview or have a conversation, and I get it, the prevalence of technology, you don't know who's recording you and everything else, but you would think that the left, and it's predominantly those on the left, they just so cocky and confident in what they're doing that they just don't care. It's just like, okay, that's how you wanna be so cocky about it. And I get it, you think you're not doing anything wrong, so you're confident with it. But here we go.
180 days to turn them into revolutionaries.
How do you do that? How do you
scare the fuck out of them? Yeah. Sacramento organization that is under the banner of Antifa is very loosely organized, right? So like, yeah, when there is like right-wing rallies and stuff, then we'll create an opposition to that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Where would he go to connect to some of these organizations?
I post a calendar every week.
Awesome.
And then so and I do it for extra credit, so they get points for doing it. So that encourages them to do it. And I've had students show up for protests, community events, tabling, food distribution, all sorts of things. When they go, they take pictures, they write up a reflection. That's their extra credit. I have an Antifa flag on my wall, and a student complained about that. And he said it made him feel uncomfortable. Well, this is meant to make fascists feel uncomfortable, so if you feel uncomfortable, I don't really know what to tell you. Maybe you shouldn't be aligning with the values that this is antithetical to. So the Cultural Revolution in the 60s was fixing the problem that came about after the economic one. It ultimately failed, right? There was a lot of excesses. People were definitely shot in the streets that probably shouldn't have been. Incredibly ugly behavior come out of this city, and you can see a couple of people over there that might be demonstrating that. I have 180 days to turn them into revolutionaries.
How do you do that? How do you
scare the fuck out of them? People, organizations, and I've been on the front lines, and I've itself is incredibly diverse, but but I am asking you to be credit, so they get points for doing it. And so that encourages them to do it. Because I can't just hey, here's some things going. They'll never go, right? And I've had students show up for protests, community events, take on down those deep dark rabbit holes where the idea of adventurism and just being why aren't people just taking up arms? Why are we have historical taking up arms against the state, and we have historical examples of that happening and them getting crushed and being martyrs for a cause, and it's okay, well, pride flag and something they felt uncomfortable. It's just it. It's utilize that problem.
Teachers like you
back to more of an economic revolution.
Revolutionaries. Would you a student voice their uncomfortability in your classroom with the Antifa flag? Do you recall that? You tacitly implied they might be aligned with fascists. I mean, is this the kind of behavior in line with the mission statement of your high school?
That you're harassing.
Of course not. Folks, hey, look. what does that even mean? Like, you know, you're gonna call a kid a fascist because he says, "Hey, I'm not comfortable with, you know, you having an Antifa flag in the classroom. Like, what are you trying to demonstrate here?" And you say, "Oh, you're a fascist. You shouldn't be aligned." He may not be aligned with anything. He may just simply just not be comfortable with you having an Antifa flag because he probably knows what Antifa is all about. And he's like, "Okay, I'm not comfortable with you displaying their BS in the classroom." But like I said, he was fired. Good riddance. He'll be all right. No sympathy on my part. But this is on a serious tip. This is why our education system has gone down the tubes, is because we have people like this individual who tries to, and instead of teaching the kids to read, write, creative thinking, critical thinking, not critical theory, critical thinking, that they're clouded with this nonsense, this BS that holds no bearing in their life or their future. None whatsoever. They're not going to grow up to be, you know, paid activists and, you know, become millionaires or whatever from being an activist. It's just not. You know, it's going to be a wham bam thank you ma'am type of event, and that's it. And they may do that a few times out of the year at best before they're shot and killed. So like what are we doing here, folks? And this is why our test scores, our kids, the school district's test scores and everything else are low, are in the garbage. It's because of people like this. Like, seriously, Oregon, the governor of Oregon passed a bill to waive reading I can't make this stuff up, reading and math requirements to graduate high school. Now, these poor kids, they thinking that, oh, we've been coddled and codified into not having to know anything. I'm going to go apply to Yale, Harvard. And Yale and Harvard is going to laugh at them. Like, you couldn't even fill out the application right because you couldn't read it. No, you're not getting in. But then again, we're seeing that most of these universities are now also waivering the the admissions requirements to get into school. So they could get lucky. Who knows? But just understand, you're not going to find too many people out in the real world that is going to patron the business or the services of somebody who cannot put together a complete sentence or tell you what 6 times 12 is. But I digress. Oh man, y'all having fun today? I'm having fun today. I hope the audio quality is great today, because I think we're having some pretty good some good stuff going on today. But as I'm running low on time here, I want to get to some other things, because Texas also. And Texas has been in the news a lot, you know. There's a lot of stuff going on in Alaska, and I was up there, you know, on ground last week, the last 2 weeks, and there's a lot of stuff that does not make mainstream media, and I think it's because it's Alaska, and it's way up in the north, and no one down in the lower 48 would really understand the issues that's going on in Alaska, such as the permanent fund dividend fight that's going on right now in the state legislature, the mandatory vaccines and mask mandates going on in the schools up there, although it's been happening in the lower 48 as well, but there's some more contentious fighting going on up there. Trawler, the baycatch trawler issue with the fishing industry. Just recently there was a cap on fishing. They just opened it back up because there was a shortage of 30,000 salmon this year, they discovered. So there's a lot of things going on up there in Alaska that you do not catch in the mainstream media. But for some reason or another, Texas has been hogging the media spotlight, and I'm gonna give them a little bit more, because this week they also passed an abortion ban bill, better known as the Heartbeat Act. And with this, the Supreme Court declined to hear it, although they provided a dissent to it. Justice Roberts and 3 others the three other liberals on there, because Roberts is a liberal too. but no, seriously, they declined to hear the case, but they provided a dissent, a 5-4 dissent on the case. Well, majority 5, but a dissent of 4 on the case, because the law says that abortions will be banned after 6 weeks once a heartbeat is detected. Now, it does not preclude from medical necessities and other extenuating circumstances, which I support. Now, I got into a very heated discussion with a pro-life group there in Alaska a couple of weeks ago at the fair. I don't think I told you the story. And he was like, "Well, you can't be a conservative and be pro-life if you're making exceptions to when abortions should be allowed." And I said, "No. We're trying to paint a broad picture as to what an abortion entails. You're just looking at killing a baby. That's it. Nope, we're not. But no, there are extenuating circumstances in which, even biblically speaking, if you want to go there with it, where an abortion would be warranted, because not all babies will survive being in the womb for various medical reasons. Now, granted, medical technology, whatever, the person, the mother carrying the child, their health concerns, all that good stuff, we have to take those things into consideration. Now, what I am not in favor of is just, I'm being irresponsible and I got pregnant and I want to go have a baby, I want to go have an abortion. No, you suck that up. That is what I'm against. Now, you have those atopical pregnancies, a medical procedure where the baby gets wrapped up in the womb incorrectly, and the chance of survival is none. So yes, that's a natural reason for an abortion to occur. Biblically speaking, adultery resulting in pregnancy is grounds for an abortion. That's biblical. Look it up. So we can't have a hard line stance about abortion without looking at those individual extenuating circumstances. And so, but outside all that, back to this. Roe v. Wade, I ain't mean to get into that little diatribe there, but I just had to kind of clear the air there, because it was like abortion is more than just, I want to just, terminate a pregnancy. There is more to it than just that. So we have to kind of be a little bit more civilized thinking about the situation. But anyways, the left thinks that Roe v. Wade is in jeopardy, which they are correct in a big sense. They are correct, because we have to look at time, look over the course of history when it comes to Supreme Court cases, and how some cases were overturned by a subsequent Supreme Court bench, or they just allowed state laws to go into effect to subsequently override the Supreme Court, the standing case, the precedent. Stare decisis. So we're going to go Latin for a second here. Stare decisis means let the decision stand. Hey, yeah, it took long. So stare decisis means let the decision stand. And that would override any attempt to legislate a case that's already in standing, Roe v. Wade. So when we're looking at a cultural shift or a change in public opinion, the Supreme Court acknowledges that. They look at that. They take that into consideration, saying, well, more and more people are recognizing that life begins at conception, and that the reasons why people are wanting abortions does not necessitate necessarily a life or death situation or other extenuating circumstances where life can be in jeopardy. It is just more about reproductive health. What does that mean? I seriously want somebody to come along and explain to me how in the blue hell does reproductive health equate to an abortion, or an abortion equates to reproductive health. However you want to put that, please explain that to me, because I don't understand that concept. I honestly don't. Now, I'm not being funny or anything. But I really need somebody to come tell me that having an abortion means that we're keeping our reproductive organs healthy. You need to explain that to me, scientifically, biologically, medically. I need a in-depth, like peer-reviewed, scientifically proven documentation on that concept, because that makes no sense. If anything, it is the absolute reverse. And we've seen studies of that. We've seen how abortion procedures can terminate the ability for a person to reproduce and or cause other medical issues. So, I digress. But the Democrats are taking a stronger stance against this whole idea of Texas law being passed. By when they come back from their break, they're going to introduce, Nancy Pelosi said that they're going to introduce House Bill 3755, which is entitled Women's Health Protection Act, and it's going to be introduced by Representative Judy Chu out of California. So here's where this is going to be a problem for the Democrats. They're going to introduce legislation, a partisan legislation, to codify Roe v. Wade into federal law, which Roe v. Wade is already federal law. But once again, constitutionally speaking, it is kind of like on the fence, because it's not delineated in the Constitution itself. Remember, the 10th Amendment, anything not enumerated by the Congress is the rights of the states. So, trying to codify a Supreme Court case law with a federal legislation through Congress still could come out to be an unconstitutional law that will intercede or impede on the rights of the states. So good luck passing that. Just same with HR 4 with the voting rights. The Democrats are trying to come up with partisan laws that will actually impose on the state's constitutional rights, which they cannot do. And so the Supreme Court will rightfully step in and say, yeah, nice try, but no, because it is not a national sentiment. It is a partisan issue. Now, if it was a congressional, overwhelming, all 435 members of Congress, or how many seats there are filled because there are vacancies, if they unanimously and in a bipartisan way pass legislation, same in the Senate, then the Supreme Court would kind of back off, because this is representation of the national sentiment, of public opinion. There's a difference. So when you're trying to push partisan legislation, the Supreme Court will be liable to step in and say, pump your brakes there, guy. Not so fast, because that is not the public opinion or the national sentiment. You're playing politics with, what's going with a social issue. So with that being said, Roe v. Wade could potentially die as is, because if states are passing laws, hear me out. If states are passing laws to contradict or even to circumvent a Supreme Court case, even through technicality, they're not saying you can't get an abortion. It just says that we're banning abortions once a heartbeat is detected. So a person may know that they are pregnant at 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 days, and 23 hours. They get an abortion. Texas can't say anything. That is not impeding on that individual's right to get an abortion, as in accordance with Roe v. Wade. So that's why the Supreme Court would not probably overturn or step in to kill that bill. It's all about technicality, ladies and gentlemen. It's all about technicality. So that's that. that is the abortion ban in Texas in a nutshell. So, like I said, stare decius. Let the decision stand. This applies also to going back to, I want to say it's 1905 or 1911. I can't recall right now. But with the state has the ability to mandate a vaccine. Now, we look at what's going on currently, present day, with the vaccine mandates and all that good stuff, the contaminated water shots. Through a Supreme Court ruling, states have that right to do that. Does not necessarily say the federal government does. However, given, once again, national sentiment, public opinion, if the vast majority are against it and states begin to pass laws, just like the Supreme Court upheld a mask ban, a state mask ban, you can do that. They once again will step in and say, okay, most of the people in the state said they don't want, a forced mandatory vaccine. Legislature passed a law. It's good to go. Thus for killing the precedent of that old antiquated law. That's how it works, folks. Civics. We need to bring it back into school. Anyways, I'm down to 8 minutes, and I have something else I want to show you. So President Biden thinks that we the people means we the government.
Our Constitution opens with the words as trite as it sounds, we the people. Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government.
What did you say?
You and I.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Not some force in a distant capital. Not some powerful force that we have no control over. It's us.
No. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. No. 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 Hell no. 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 I refuse. No. No.
It's we the people.
It's amazing. You are 100% wrong. I mean, nothing you've said has been right.
Ladies and gentlemen, an excerpt from the Declaration of Independence. That highlighted section right there I'm about to read to you. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government. Thomas Jefferson, July 4th, 1776. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard straight from the horse's mouth, literally, a horse, he's a jackass. You heard from his mouth that he thinks that we the people is the government. The Constitution of the United States, in the preamble, it states, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Not the government. Not we the people, the government. Joe Biden. Oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why the Second Amendment exists. Just saying. Folks, you can pick up my book, The New You, Now Equipped with Wisdom, on Amazon, e-Kindle format. You can follow me on Twitter at rperm. You can also follow me on Twitter, Getter, MeWe, Gab. I'm kind of like hanging out on MeWe and Gab a little bit more these days. That crowd there is hilarious. And they're awesome. They hold no bars. It's cool. But I'm still on Facebook under Randy Perm #2, the second. I'm also on the old page too. I just don't check it as much anymore. But you can follow me there on all the social media platforms. And also, if you want to support my campaign, please support my campaign at rperm4us.com. I'm also on Cashapp and PayPal, $ capital R PURHAM for US for us on Cash App and on PayPal at rperm for US. Fundraising still, trying to raise money so I can serve the people, not the government. The people, we the people, not we the government. So, anyways, folks, we'll see you all on Monday, God willing, and God bless. Y'all have a fantastic weekend. I'm about to fire up the grill and enjoy the rest of the day. And I want you all to do the same. I pick up class on Monday, so I'm kind of like, bleh. But anyways, it is what it is. Gotta get your education on, and I'm almost done with school, so I could be able to focus the entire next year on the campaign and doing great things and traveling a little bit more and not be relegated to the computer and to the screen so much, and probably do some shows on the road. And there'll be, of course, probably abbreviated shows, just depending on what's going on. But nonetheless, we do some road shows. But anyways, see you all Monday. Take it easy. Like I said, God bless. Sayonara.
You are listening to the Exceptional Conservative Network. For more information, go to www.theexceptionalconservativeshow.com.